Okay, right, girls, I'm all over the bloody shop. Hello, welcome. Oh my gosh, I can't even today. Welcome back to. You know what's funny? I was actually having a very good day. Today's Saturday. I am pre-recording this and I'm scared it's not that loud. But I'm pre-recording this because when you're watching this, I'm going to be on holiday. Yes, you heard me correct, ladies and ladies. I'm going to be on holiday. I just am terrified. Okay. I've been having a good day, right? I this morning woke up, got ready, went to see Shrek with Lara because they're showing it in the cinema for the 25th anniversary, and I thought, litmus, like, let me get my stuff, I'm gonna be there. Watched Shrek, it was fantabulous. Then I popped into my local town. This is where things start taking a turn. Everyone's there, everyone in the entire world is there. They've just absolutely flocked to this town. I go and pick up some bits. Awesome. I pick up some stuff for Sophie's birthday. I pick up myself a makeup bag. Did I need it? No. Did I need it? No. One more time. Did I need it? No. But I got it. I see it. I like it. I want it. I got it. I said, okay, Ariana, let me raise you one. I see it. I like it. I want it. I got it. So what are you going to do now? She's out of a job. Anyway. So then I come home and then I have to go back out because I need to get euros for this trip. Euro Country. Album by CMAT. Anyway, I go out, I get my euros. I come home and I'm on TikTok and I see a video on TikTok that just, like, the moment I watched it, I could feel my eyes, like, welling up with tears because it was basically just about this couple and they just looked so happy, and I think at one point they were like, oh, just like stupidly in love, something like that. And I was like, oh, when's it gonna be my turn? Don't forget me. When's it gonna be my turn? Because obviously recently I did accept the fact that I would like to be with someone. God fucking forbid. I would like to be with someone, which just... I admitted that in therapy, and I literally said to my therapist, I said, I feel so weak for admitting that. She went, why? I said, don't ask me. I said, don't ask me. I said, I don't know why I feel weak for admitting that. I said, I do, though. I do. I feel very, I don't know, like, I guess because when my breakup happened, I was like, oh, like, I don't need no man. I don't need no man. I don't need no relationship. I'm happy. I am happy on the whole, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to be with someone. But what's so funny is that when I'm in a relationship, I'm like, yeah, like, let's be single, like, that'll be fun. And then when I'm single, I'm like, oh my gosh, get me in a relationship. No, I don't know. I don't know. I also just feel like the guy for me is just not out there. I've spoken about this before. I just don't think he exists. And there is nothing like Hinge to put the fear of God in you. But anyway, I'm going to get onto that in a sec. But like I was saying, I'm going on holiday on Monday. I have so much that I need to do. So my flight on Monday is at 7:45 in the morning. I'm flying from Gatwick. So I don't even know what fucking time I've got to leave. I need to pack my bag. I need to edit this podcast and get it, like, scheduled and everything done for that. Same with my vlog. I need to full body shave. Like, I need to be given sphinxy sort of cat before I go. I want to go to the gym tonight. I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning. I'm having a Nando's and seeing a film tomorrow evening. Like, this is when I'm like, yeah, sure, my ADHD medication probably would come in handy. But obviously I'm so scared to even go on that, which actually I think I spoke about this a little bit last time, about how I got low-key told off because I didn't pick up my ADHD medication quick enough, and then it expired. And then, genuinely, like, this has irked me. Like, genuinely, this has irked me so bad. So the ADHD doctor calls me and he was like, so you've not tried them at all? And I was like, no, I forgot to pick them up. Part of it was forgetting, the other part of it was I was absolutely scared shitless, because when you say to someone who already has health anxiety, who has migraines, who has anxiety, and if I even feel like my heart, like, get a bit tight, oh, we're divvying up who this Grimace chair is going to, because there's nothing left for me. No, there's nothing else left for anyone else. Hello? Basically, if the Grimace chair is all that will be in my will. And where there's a will, there's a way. And there is a way that some of my friends might be getting this or sharing it. But what's sad is that this is just a cover. underneath it's just a grey chair. It's all an illusion. God, life's relentless. Anyway, so this ADHD doctor calls me and he says to me, you haven't tried any of the pills yet? I said, no. He was like, okay, I'm going to resend the prescription. And I said, thank you very much for your time. I said, I'm sorry because I am sorry. Like, I am sorry because I should have picked them up. I should have been an adult, but I was also broke. So, needs must. And he was like, okay, just take more care. I've said this so many times. But he was like, take more care with these pills because they have street value. And I said, what? I said, okay, I don't know who the funk you think I am. Like, you've met me, right? You've met me and you've Zoomed me once or twice. So, yeah, you know that that's not happening. But I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, you have to, like, cover your own bases and whatever. Like, do your due diligence and whatnot. So I was like, yep, that's fine. And he was like, because, you know, these are a control medication and blah, blah, blah. And you need to do a month's review in a month's time and all this bullshit. And I was like, yes, I'm sorry. Like, I will take them. I promise. Like, oh my gosh, get off my D word. So then the next day, I go to the chemist and I see the lady in the chemist and I go, hello, can I pick up my prescription? I was like, I was here a few days ago and they've sent it again, so it should be here to collect. She was like, okay, dear. Love her. She's like, okay, dear, let me check. Because there was actually a demonic lady working in the chemist before her. She was, oh my God, she didn't just have a chip. She had a whole, like, she didn't have the singular chip. She had a whole bag of McCain's on her fucking shoulder. She had an attitude problem. She was so mad. And then one day I went in and she was acting really nice. And I said to my mum, I said, she has had either an exorcism or a lobotomy because there's no way that she's just nice now. Something happened. She's been sent to, like, I hate to say it, Shutter Island. Something happened. Anyway, I need to be on that fucking island. Love Island. I'm in the villa. Anyway, so she's looking on the system and she was like, oh, the prescription's not here. And I said, are you yoking me? I was like, okay. DPMO are 4 letters that come to mind. But I was like, okay, whatever. So I was like, oh, I'll call them. Then I thought, no, I'm not going to call them because I've literally just spoken to you the day before. You've told me that you've sent them through. You've been on my D word about picking them up. So I've gone to pick them up and you haven't sent them through. So I thought, I'm going to give you some grace. You get in a grace period and I'm going to check again tomorrow. And then if they're not there tomorrow, that's when the cat's out the bag, okay? And not that I was ever in a bag, but if I was, I'm now out of it, okay? And I'm not a cat either, but if I was a cat and I was in a bag, it's now out, okay? I go in again yesterday and I say, hi, just checking to see if my prescriptions come through. She goes, still not here. I said, oh my Lord. I said, that is so funny. This is not to her. This is my inner monologue. I thought, you are telling me to take care. I am not Rihanna. You are not Drake. You're telling me to take care, okay? It's not happening. It's not happening now because you've given me all this fucking ag for not picking it up, which I've admitted fault to. I've said I'm sorry. I said I know it's annoying and I felt bad. I felt really like when I came home from the doctor's the first time I tried to pick it up and I realised it was expired and I had to call the clinic. I felt really embarrassed because I was like, this is just how it feels like most of my life. It feels like I'm really childish and that I can't do anything on my own and it makes me feel terrible about myself, right? And I feel very emotional today and I know it's because my period's brewing, but I don't know where my period is. I'm trying to track it on the app. 4 days late. Are you joking? But I also have like kind of some cramps. I also have boob pain and I've had a migraine. Also recently, unrelated, but also it could be related, I'm so fucking constipated. Haven't bought any grapes to help that out, but normally, like, my problem used to be, this is my vlog, my problem used to be that I just couldn't stop shitting. The moment I ate something, I would shit like that. And now, it's like the other way around, and it's like, when does it fucking end? Do you know what I mean? Like, why? Why? Anyway, so, I'm sat there, like, am I a dickhead? Like, I feel like I'm back in my last relationship. Am I a dickhead? What do you mean? Oh, it's still not here. And now, next week, I'm away. Oh my God, I'm going to yawn. This always happens. Why am I always yawning? Next week, I'm away. So I literally cannot pick it up. I cannot pick it up even if it's there. And I don't know what my roaming is like on O2. I don't know what my roaming is like. So I might not be able to call you. I might not be able to bell your line from another country. And now I'm thinking, yeah, and then I'm getting told off because then you're going to want me to set up the 1 month review. And it's going to be like, well, yeah, I wasn't on it because I was away. and then it's going to come back and it's going to bite me in the ass. I know it is, because it's like, oh, you should have taken it straight away. Yeah, I know I should have taken it straight away. But when you already have migraines and anxiety and someone tells you, oh, this might make that like 10 times worse, you kind of are reluctant to start it. You just are. So that's really ground my gears. It just pissed me off, basically. There's no other way to put it. I was just like, don't irk me, man. Do not irk me. Why am I keeping on yawning? Sorry. I might actually listen to my own podcast on the fly. Like, let's get into some real entertainment. But yeah, that just really pissed me off, wound me up, rubbed me up the wrong way. Like, everything that something could do to you, it did. It just fucking, like, there's just fuck off. There you go. That's as simple as it gets. Just fuck off. So anyway, I'm irked about that. But yeah, I'm going on this holiday. Like, there isn't that much to do, but also at the same time, like, there is a colossal amount to do. And I just do not know how to, like, divvy up my time. And I'm just an idiot. Like, I'm just a fucking idiot. Like, I'm not an idiot, because a lot of the time I guess I can't help it. But then I also feel like such a cop-out for being like, oh, I can't help it. You probably can, but I'm not trying very hard. I am trying. I'm trying my best. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so when you're watching this, I'm on holiday. Hopefully having a good time, feeling fuego. Also, actually, fun fact, and this is a fun fact, not even a really, really sad fact. Anyone remember that? That was quite funny way back when. When you're watching this, so this will be out on the Wednesday, which will be the 20th? Yeah, the 20th of May. On the Tuesday, so yesterday when you're watching this, or you might not even be watching this, you could be watching this like years in the future, who knows? Hello, wherever you are, and whoever you are, and whenever this is. Yep, okay. Yes, when I'm recording this, and when this is initially out, this will be out initially on the 20th of May. On the 19th of May, on the Tuesday, it will be 4 years sober. Not from drinking and, like, the other thing, but from any attempt on my life and any self-harming, which is absolutely litmus. I always forget that that's something that, like, happens each year. Like, another year goes by where I've been, like, clean. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it, but it also doesn't feel like there's any other good way to describe what it's like, because it kind of was like an addiction. Because when I was like, and I'm going to get into this a bit today, and I feel like I've spoken a little bit on, like, my really bad relationship and a little bit on, like, the really bad attempt at my life and all the rest, but I feel like maybe I would divulge a bit, is that the word? Like, just get into it a bit more. So there's your warning. If you don't want to hear much about either of those things, I understand, because it can be pretty heavy, but don't worry, I'm going to keep it light, because one thing about me, every single traumatic thing that's happened to me, I have taken it and I've benefited from it in a way of, yes, I'm traumatized, yes, I need to spend money on therapy, but also it's added so much character. And it's added so much more to my self-deprecating jokes, and I would not be where I am now without them, would I? No, of course I wouldn't. I wouldn't be sat in this Nepo baby top. Someone's got to be Steve Coogan's daughter. Anyway, so yeah, it's been 4 years since my last attempt, and my last attempt was obviously May 2022, and that was, I can't even remember it that well, because it kind of like was, but also wasn't. It was like I had relapsed on self-harming. I can't even remember when I'd last self-harmed before that, but I think it was like a few months had gone by, or like maybe a year or even longer. Like, I broke quite a long streak of like being like stable in that sense. But I do remember why I did it, was because, and this is what's so funny, every single time that I have felt like in that way that I've wanted to do something, or I have acted on harming myself, it's because there is a man in my life that is detrimental to my mental health, which is just absolutely, like, I am surprised I've been able to keep up this 4-year streak, because when I tell you, in my last relationship, there were so many times that I was suicidal, but I just didn't do anything about it because I felt like a fucking idiot, because I was like, why am I going to let this relationship be the reason that I try and die? You know what I mean? But like, it got really, really bad. Like, right at the end of the relationship, I literally was like, if you don't do something about the way you're behaving, I fear that I will end my own life. And he was like, you can't say that to me. And I was like, I can, because that's exactly how I feel. I was like, this is how your behavior is impacting me and the behavior of those around you. That is how badly it's impacting my mental state, and you're doing sweet fuck all about it. So like, there's a pattern here where the last time that I actually did something, which was obviously 4 years ago, was because a boy that I was kind of speaking to, I'd slept with him, met him on a Hinge. I'd slept with him. He seemed all right. He was a bit like, yeah, he was a bit hard to read, but then what man isn't? He slut shamed me so badly. He basically just boiled me down to being like just a body. He was like, you have nothing interesting to say. All you do is just take pictures of yourself. You ask me, and like, okay, this is quite funny. He was like, you ask me questions about myself and I tell you the answer, and then a few weeks later you ask me the same question again. And I was like, yeah, that's called me trying to make conversation, and also like my brain forgets things, God fucking forbid. But he was so nasty, like just the way he spoke to me, he was so nasty. It got to the point where I was like, oh my God, like what is my life? Also at this point, like bearing in mind, I had been out of my abusive relationship for almost 2.5 years at this point. But between being in that abusive relationship and then getting with my last ex, I only slept with men. I didn't go on a single date. And so my abusive relationship ended in February of 2020, and I got with my last ex in October of 2022. So I had over 2.5 years where I was like, wanted to be with someone, because that's the thing, I wanted to be with someone. I was trying to date, but I feel like men exclusively just saw me as like, basically men just see me as like boobs and tattoos. And like I'm telling you now, every single person that matches with me on Hinge, first thing they say is like, it's never like actually wanting to get to know me. It'll be like, oh, you look like you're trouble, or you look like you're a lot of fun, or you're so sexy, or you're this, or like your tattoos are so hot, or like things like that. And it's never like, you know, and like I can't help that I'm sexy, God forbid, but like obviously these men never. And it's funny as well because they'll have that bullshit thing on their Hinge profile being like, looking for a long-term relationship. No, you're not. Just don't lie about it. Who gives a fuck? Also, people that are like looking for a short-term relationship open to long-term, what do you mean? Are you looking to date someone, like kind of fall in love with them and then break up? That's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but whatever. And so I got it like sort of drilled into my brain over a period of time that I was like, oh, I'm so liberated by doing this. Like I'm having so much fun and I'm having all this casual sex and I feel really good about myself. And then I would feel awful about myself after because I grew attached to every single person I slept with. And then when they inevitably ghosted me, it would crush me. I would have to take time to sort of like recuperate. And then it would happen with another guy and then another guy. And then the last guy I saw before I got with my like last ex-boyfriend, he was a piece of shit. I cannot even tell you how awful that man was. But I naturally really liked him, even though I knew he was terrible. I knew he was not nice to me. I knew that he was sleeping around with a load of girls. I knew he was a liar. I just knew everything was like bad about him. But I guess in my mind, because of my really abusive ex-boyfriend, who was like the last relationship I'd had before this sort of like, it wasn't even a relationship, it was like a kind of a situationship, kind of like we just slept together but we worked together. That's how I met him. I met him at my job, and the first day I met him I slept with him, which is like, okay, if you want to judge me, go ahead, like I give a fuck, I don't care. But I did, and it was really fun, and I was like, okay, like who knows what's gonna happen with this guy. And like he would ask me for lifts to places, he would ask me to walk his dog with him, and then if I wanted to initiate something, it was like, no. And I would see other girls texting him and I was like, okay, like, obviously this is not going to turn into anything. So I kind of just tried to accept it, move on. He went back to uni because at this point he was still in uni and I wasn't. And I just left the company. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I got with my ex-boyfriend. And then the moment I had a boyfriend, he was non-stop messaging me, non-stop trying to add me on like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, everything. He asked to see me on his birthday. He asked to see me on Christmas Day. He was asking other people about me. And then what was so funny was he was like, oh, Maisie like fucked me and then fell in love. And I was like, me? You're asking everyone around you about me. And then the minute someone was like, oh, I think you like Maisie, he was like, no, I don't. I was like, me when I fucking lie. And then he would like follow friends of mine. Like he followed me on Instagram, so I blocked him. But before I blocked him, he saw my story which had my friend on it, so he followed my friend on Instagram. It was insane. He also was like, basically he had been working there before I started at this job. So I came in, and this is in the summer of 2022, which 2022 was actually a pretty lit year for me on the whole. And they all saw me, and it was like a kitchen of guys because it was a restaurant. All the people in the kitchen were guys apart from like one person, which is my friend Bella. Love her down. And they made a bet when I came in for my trial shift, and they were like, let's see who can get to her first. I did not know about this at the time. When I found out, I confronted him and I was like, why did you put a bet on me on who could get to me first? And he was like, I didn't even know that was happening, like that's so fucked up, I'm gonna tell the boys off because of it. And I was like, you're a liar, like I can see right through all your bullshit. I met his mum, for fuck's sake. Like, oh my days, like it was just such bullshit. And even now, he's still, when me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, he tried to add me on Facebook, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you obviously still think about me. And then I went, so like he lives kind of near me, and we obviously both know people because we work together. So I went to the restaurant that we used to work at a different branch, and this is the same town he works in, I'm pretty sure. And I saw my friend Noor, and he was like, guess who was in here the other day? And I was like, oh, let me guess. And I was like, oh, okay, like whatever, like he's still like trying to add me on stuff. And he was like, oh, he was with a girl though. And I was like, yeah, he's a cheat. He also said to me, like, obviously bearing in mind, and like the minute I stopped paying him attention, that's the moment he wanted to see me, like the moment he wanted to speak to me. Like I remember for his birthday, he was like, I was just not really speaking to him because I was like, you're pissing me off. And he was like, Maisie, what should I do for my birthday? And I was like, I literally said to him, I was like, I don't care. And that was when he wanted to talk to me, when I was being mean to him. And I was like, you actually need so much therapy. Like, your mum paid for you to go through private school. Like, I beg she pays for you to go to private therapy because you need it. Like, you're disgusting and you're riddled. Like, oh my gosh. And he said about this girl that we worked with, she was 17, he was 21, and he was like, oh, I want to sleep with her. And I was like, yeah, she's 17. And he was like, oh, pre-order. Found out they actually slept together as well. And it's quite funny because she was like, oh, like someone told me they slept together. It didn't come from either of them. And they were like, but don't say anything, because she literally said like, oh, please don't tell Maisie. And I was like, yeah, because you know he fucked me about. And you were like, oh, it's so unfair, da, 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 da. And they worked together for a bit after I left. So I was like, oh my God, like, it's not my business at all. But also just like, don't act like all nice to my face and then be like, oh, don't tell Maisie this happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be involved. Like, I don't give a fuck in that sense. Like, it just doesn't, none of this shit concerns me. You know what I mean? So that, where was I going with this? Yeah, basically like all of my relationships and all of the sort of things that I've based my worth off of, and like my ideals of relationships, have always been warped because of like, I had 2 boyfriends before my abusive relationship. One when I was 15, one when I was like 17 through college. And college was where I was like really, really, really not well. Like, that's when I kind of got addicted to self-harming, because there was a time where you could not see my arms, like just clear skin. That's how bad it was. And every single day I was just adding more. And I didn't even know why. I was embarrassed of them, which is why, like, when people are like, why did you get so many tattoos? That's why. And you can't, like, I feel not bad because like I'm such an open book and I'll tell anyone anything about myself, but like, you can't just meet a rando and be like, oh, well, I used to be addicted to self-harming, so like I wanted to cover up all my scars, but they were so bad. Like, you can kind of see a few of them underneath now, barely, because they've so, like, it's been so long and they've faded obviously and whatever, which is good. Like, I can still see a few of them faintly, which is like, I guess to me it's just like, yeah, they're kind of there. It's like reminder of like kind of how far I've come, because it was sad. Like, it's depressing looking back at it, because I just had no idea who I was. And every time I thought I knew who I was, someone didn't like it and someone was mean about it. And so I really just struggled to, like, kind of find my own voice and be my own person. And, like, everything I liked got made fun of. And, like, I've been doing YouTube for way longer than, like, is actually up on my channel. Like, I was doing YouTube in school. Also, I've got my glasses on today, so I cannot perceive how I look. How do I look? Oh, okay, I look gorgeous. Cool. Just checking. But, like, I was doing... Oh, sorry, I just kicked the fucking camera. I was doing this, like, way before I actually started posting. I was making makeup videos, getting made fun of for that. I got, like, fucking bullied by, like, my own family and friends in year 9. Like, there were so many, like, examples of things that I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what the fuck? Like, what is going to happen next? You know what I mean? When you're just a bit like, oh my god, leave it out. Oh my god, what? But yeah, so in college, I was, like, fucked in the head, and I literally used to just take weeks off at a time because I couldn't go in, because I was just so, like, sad, but I didn't know why. And I think that was the hardest thing for me back then, was not knowing why I was okay, so why are you not focusing on me? Focus on me. Come on now. I didn't know why I was sad. I knew I was sad, but I didn't know, like, why. I was just like, this is, like, awful. And it was only when my tutor in college came up to me and he was like, can I speak to you for a minute? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, are you okay? And that was, like, the first time anyone, because I went to the doctors for the first time to tell them I was depressed when I was 13 years old. I was 13 telling a doctor I'm really sad, and the only reason they didn't do anything was because they gave me this little questionnaire, and on the questionnaire I didn't say that I wanted to end my own life. If I had said, you can see me, right? If I had said on that questionnaire that I wanted to end my own life, I think maybe things would have been different. But every single time I went, I'd never even considered it, because in school and when I was young, I was like, I can't imagine anyone wanting to do that, like, you know, and, like, people around you would be like, oh, it's so selfish to kill yourself, da, 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 da. So, like, that was what my perception of it was. And my best friend growing up was really, like, she was really bad for self-harming as well, and I think she was quite suicidal too. So I was always like, oh, like, you know, I don't understand it. And then it finally clicked for me when I was in college. I was like, oh, I get it now. And I remember him asking me that, and I just, like, burst into tears. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'm so sad all the time. I don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know. I couldn't have a job. Like, I was just incapable. And I feel so bad looking back, because I put my parents through hell. Like, it felt really late as well to have this sort of phase where you're, like, completely, like it felt as if I should have had that phase in school. It felt like I should have, like, I feel like a lot of people that I know that were really bad for, like, self-harming and whatever, that happened to them in school, whereas I was 17, 18, and I was just like addicted. Especially when I was 17, it was like the March of 2018 in the summer, like, all there, so bad. Like, I look back at pictures of myself now and I actually can't, I don't really recognize myself without tattoos anyway, but, like, I really can't recognize myself because my arms are so covered, and it makes me really sad because I didn't want to hurt myself. I know deep down that I didn't want to do that. Like it didn't feel good. I felt like shit because my arms always hurt. Like, that's a huge thing that I don't feel like people speak about. My arms always hurt because they would sting. Like, the moment the sun hit them, the moment water hit them, the moment, like, soap would go in them, anything like that, they would sting, and I would have to cover them up with bandages. And also, like, there is that stigma. Like, I know everyone's like, destigmatize mental health, but, like, that's not fucking happening. Like, it might be happening slowly, but it's not gonna, like, happen overnight. And not everyone's accepting of, like, people that aren't able to communicate how they feel, because people would call me, like, attention seeking. They'd be like, oh, it's such an attention seeking thing to do, and I'd be like, okay, ask me if I give a shit. No, I don't care. Because this was the only way that I could get the attention of the people around me who, like, I needed help, because that was the only way that I then got through to the doctors, was when I went in And I said that I was really sad, and they were like, okay, like, have you tried to self-harm? And I was like, fucking look at my arms. I was like, yes, I have. And they were like, oh my gosh, okay, let's put you on antidepressants. And they made me feel worse, which is now, 4 years on, I'm not medicated. Obviously, I've meant to be going on this ADHD medication, but I'm not on any antidepressants because I just feel like I can't do it. Like, I'm so emotional, I'm so anxious. Like, I feel like now anxiety is what I face more than depression, when it used to be the other way around. But I just can't deal with feeling numb, because I don't think it takes away my anxiousness. It just takes away like the ability to kind of feel anything. So I stayed off of, I was on sertraline, and then I was on citalopram, and then like in the midst of all of this is when I met my really abusive ex-boyfriend. Well, I actually knew him from my first relationship. He was friends with my first ever boyfriend. They went to college together. And then we met up. It was the winter of 2019 at this point, okay? And bearing in mind, at this point, me and my old ex-boyfriend have broken up. And we were kind of like high school sweethearts, but we got together in college because I was so confused in school and I didn't know what I want. And he was so quiet, so introverted. He had a lot of stuff going on in his own life, like whatever. We broke up, then he got a new girlfriend, and it like literally was like devastating to me, because I was like, oh, like, so we're not gonna get back together, lol. And so met this guy, and like, I joke about that relationship a lot, and I feel like I've spoken about him here and there. But I was getting my nails done yesterday, and I was telling Zoe about it. And I was like, oh, I was so sure that I'd already spoken to you about this. And she was like, no. And I said to her, I was like, I can't even put into words how evil he truly was. And sometimes, I've said this before, I think, but sometimes I like kind of gaslight myself into thinking that like, oh, it actually wasn't that bad. And that maybe I'm just like being dramatic, or like I'm making it up or whatever. But I have like the testament, is that the right word? I have like the testimonies. Like, everyone around me saw how I was. Everyone, like, me and my mum stopped speaking because of him. Me and my mum had to go to therapy to start talking again, which is like, Zoe was so shocked by that. She was like, you seem so close. And I was like, yeah, but it kind of took a lot of work to get there, because when me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, it was the beginning of lockdown. College just got cancelled. My horse died, and we split up. So I had to deal with like the grief of losing my horse and facing my fear of death again. The grief of not getting to finish college, and like college being over, because I actually really enjoyed college and like all my friends. Lockdown, like being stuck in my room, not having anywhere to go, can't leave the house, like nothing. And then him, like dealing with the fact that this guy had just gutted me from the inside out for 3 months straight. Like, we weren't even together long. This is another thing. We weren't together that long. We met in November or October of 2019, and it ended in February of 2020. And the whole time, from the beginning of when we met to when we ended, he was cheating on me. He had another like girlfriend. He had a full-on relationship when we got together. He had a different full-on relationship when we broke up. Then there was like me in the middle, and I was 18 at this point, right? He was 21. So there's like a tiny gap in age, but like, I feel like at 21, when I was 21 all those years ago, I would not have wanted to be with an 18-year-old. And I, even now, like, I don't think, at 24, I don't think I could be with a 21-year-old. Like, I don't think I could do that, because there's just such, like, even though it's not a big age gap, there's a maturity gap. And he was at uni and I was in college. So like, we were in two completely different stages in our lives. And he lived in North London and I live in Surrey. And it was just like, also at this point, I'd never touched a drug. I didn't really drink. I didn't smoke, not often anyway. And I was depressed, okay? And I never had been to like raves or like house parties or anything like that. Like, I was as a child, I was very innocent. Like, I was very much like, oh, if I even touch a drug, I'm gonna die immediately. Like, didn't get into trouble, didn't speak back. Like, me being outspoken only really came in like later. Like, I was always like how I've been, always like confident and like happy to speak, but I never really had like, oh, here we go. I should have known this fucking Casio watch was going to pipe up and piss me off. Are you okay? She's just jarring. She just doesn't stop. Who needs an alarm that goes on for that long? Okay, there we go, thank God. So that relationship was so bad, and I think in the course of that relationship I tried to end my life maybe 3 times, or maybe 2, one of which was like the worst attempt I've ever had. And I'm pretty sure I did speak about that in an episode before, but that was the time I actually almost died because I took bipolar medication that I was on at this point. They were like, we don't think you're bipolar, we think you have borderline personality disorder, because I was going to a private psychiatrist, like therapy sessions, and then I was also under CAMS at the same time, and CAMS were like, we don't think you have bipolar, and my psychiatrist, my therapist, she was like, I think you have borderline personality disorder, but they were like, we can't diagnose you with that till you're 21 because you're still like, your frontal lobe's developing, so we're going to give you bipolar medication. And I was like, why are you giving me that? Honestly, as well, looking back, I literally don't even think it made any difference to my behavior, because I was so just like erratic. All I used to do was cry. I would just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry, and I would be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I was just so sad. I can't, like I said, I can't even tell you what I was sad about. I just can tell you that I was sad. And like, I feel so, it sounds so ridiculous being like, oh, like, woe is me, but I feel so awful for my younger self, because she really went through it and no one knew. This is the other thing as well. When I was with him, I was like so happy when he was nice to me, but when he was nasty, I just like absorbed it as like me just being sad, not that he was actually just being horrible to me. So like, for example, he would go like 7 days without texting me, and every single day I would like wake up in the middle of the night, check my phone before bed. I was checking my phone consistently, and then I was like, oh, maybe if I don't look at my phone he'll answer. Then he didn't. 7 days would go by. Every single day I would wake up with like this pit in my stomach, and I was like, what's happened to him? He would often get in trouble with the police, so I would have to deal with that. Then when he would come down here, he would like openly speak to me about the girls that he was seeing. He once played this other girl's music, so this was at the end of the relationship. This was the girl he was seeing, and then I think they were in a relationship for like 4 years after. Like, they were in a relationship for a long time after, like, fucking good on him, whatever. But he was like, what do you think of this music? And I was like, oh, it's all right. And he would be like, oh, don't be a brat. And I was like, he knew how much I liked him as well. Like, at the moment I met him, because he was this like bad boy. He was basically addicted to drugs. He like just abused alcohol. Like, he had a lot of stuff going on, right? But I was like, he's a bad boy. Everyone loves a bad boy, not a fucking terrorist. But you know what I mean? Like, I really, I was like, he's so perfect. And like, he wasn't. He was awful. Like, you could tell because I dyed my hair purple, pink and brown in the space of those months. Like, that was a cry for help in itself anyway. But like, he would just say things, and like when I look back, I'm like, okay, if nothing else, these were like things that I can really like remember. So like, he would know what the things I was anxious about or the things I was insecure about. So like, one of my biggest insecurities when I was younger was my nose. I hated my nose. I was like, my nose is so big, I hate my nose, and I hated how I looked with no makeup on. And I remember once he saw me with no makeup and he was like, you know what, actually you are a catfish. And I was like, hello? And then his ex-girlfriend had a big nose as well, and she had purple hair, and he was like, oh, I guess I have a type, like purple haired bitches with big noses. And I was like, oh my god, like, this guy fucking stank in every way possible because he never fucking showered. And then I remember like the worst time, like the worst thing that ever happened, and the reason me and my mum stopped talking is because he tried to kill someone. And then he tried to kill his best friend. Then he came to me and he was like, I need to hide from the police. So I was like, oh my god, I'm so honoured. The reason he tried to kill someone was because the guy that he tried to kill was flirting with the girl that he was trying to get with. And my gullible ass was sat there like, oh, okay. And he was like, but the reason that like I wanted to protect her was because she reminded me so much of you. And I was like, oh my god, this is love. This is literally love. Like, thank you, God. Like, this is love. Hallelujah. And I was believing it, like genuinely, like when I tell you I was brainwashed. And again, when we were shown like ads and things like about abusive relationships in school, my dumb ass would sit there and be like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? And then God said, let me put you in one and then you try and leave and see what happens. You will try and leave planet Earth because it's that hard. Like it was so bad. And he was off his head on horse tranquilizer, drinking straight vodka. My parents were supposed to be going to Wales that day. I was like, I'll just sneak him in my house really quickly so my mum doesn't have to see him. I pull up onto the road outside my house, and he falls out of my car, and my mum walks past as this happens, and she was like, he is not staying here. And I was like, you don't get it, he's in trouble, like I need to look after him. And she was like, I need to hide everything valuable, because she thought he was gonna rob us. I was like, boy, like he's less than 6 foot, like let's not. I was like, he's not gonna rob us. So she made my brother and his girlfriend at the time babysit us. That time he tried to make me steal stuff from Sainsbury's because he didn't want to pay for spring rolls. I was like, bum, 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 bum. What the fuck? And he also had a go at me when he got in the car because I made him walk from the bus stop to where I was parked. And I literally said to him, like, I never spoke back to him because I was so scared. And I said to him, I was like, look, I'm really sorry, like I'm doing you a favor here, like please. And he was like, oh yeah, you're so right. Also, while this is happening, I'm supposed to be doing my uni portfolio. Needless to say, I didn't get into the uni I wanted to go to, lol, which was actually the uni he was at, so blessing in disguise. And I was like, okay, like whatever. He would refuse to have sex with a condom on, basically R-worded. And I remember once I tapped him with a pillow. We were like having a pillow fight, tapped him with a pillow, and he just whacked me across the face. And I said to him, why did you do that? And like I felt so weak and vulnerable, like I started tearing up, but I felt like my whole body just shrunk into itself and I felt so small. And I said to him, I was like, why did you do that? And he was like, you hurt me first. And I said, I tapped you with a pillow. He went, yeah. And I was like, okay. Here we go. I was like, and he was bumping that. He was fucking bumping that, and he was bumping my fucking face. He was like, I said, what is your problem? What is your fucking problem? Every single time he would stay around my house, I would wake up and I would be physically sick in the toilet, and then I would go and lay back down next to him. And if I ever wanted to like initiate like physical intimacy with him and he didn't want to do it, he would be like, no. I remember one time we went for a walk, then we came home and we watched a film, and then I was like, okay, like he's not going for another hour or so, so like maybe we'll like get down to it. And he was like, no, I need you to take me to the station because there's this party where this girl that I want to see is at. And so when I inevitably got upset, he called me a brat, and then he was like, text me when you stop being a brat. And I was like, okay. Okay. He would always be like, you know nothing, you're so innocent, you don't know anything because you're from Surrey and I'm from London and I know this and I know that. And I said, you know fuck all. And he was like, he found out about my YouTube channel. He asked me to show him one of my videos. I showed him one of my videos. He was like, was that supposed to be funny? Like, that was shit. And I remember saying to him, like, one day you are going to see my fucking name somewhere and you're not going to believe it. And he was like, yeah, and you're just going to be some bitch I fucked. I said, what? I remember I had a really bad UTI. Just didn't give a shit because obviously he wouldn't wear protection. I said to him, I'm scared I'm pregnant. He said, that's not my problem. I said, okay. Just so many different times. And then I left some clothes at his house. I saw this other girl wearing them because he took photos of her in them. And when I called him out for it, he was like, oh, I just needed to borrow your steez. And I was like, oh my God, fucking white boy Yardie, shut the fuck up. And then I went up when it got to a point where there was only one friend I was really telling about it at college. And she said to me, and I've said it so many times, but it'll always stick with me. She was like, Maisie, you're like an Easter egg. You're so hollow. She was like, you're hollow on the inside, like since what's happened with him. And I didn't tell my mum, I didn't tell my dad, I didn't tell anyone, I didn't tell my therapist. I told no one about what he did until one day I think my mum asked my auntie to take me out for dinner to see how I was doing, and I said to her, I was like, he's not very nice to me. Like, I felt so weak. Like, I remember once I did so much for him. I bought him stuff, I drove him around, and he would tell me he loved me, and then once when we were sober and he was eating tinned pears, which just absolutely nonce behaviour, he was like, if I ever tell you I love you, I'm either drunk or we're having sex. And I was like, oh my god, you're so degrading towards me. Like, it was awful. And I was just like, I just thought I was like head over heels in love with him. And after, when I finally like was like, oh, okay, enough is enough, I went up to London to get my stuff back, and he wouldn't even come and get me from the station. I said to him, I was like, can you come and get me, because I don't know where your house is? And he was like, oh, just like follow the like maps, and this is in Finsbury Park, right? So I was really like, and bearing in mind I'm 18, I don't go to London much on my own, and you have to walk under the tunnel, which is really dark, and there was like men shouting at me, and I felt like I felt so scared and like insecure. I finally get there. The first thing he says to me is this going to take long, because there's this other girl that I want to go and see? And I was like, nope, it won't take long, I'm just come to get my stuff back. And go up to get my stuff. He tries to have sex with me. I have like a crippling UTI, so I'm like, no. He's obviously not happy about that. And then he sees that I have fresh cuts on my arm, like I'm talking fresh cuts, and he slaps them, like full pelt, just like slaps them. And I said to him, why did you do that? And he went, well, why did you do it? I said, does it matter? He was like, no. I was like, okay. And like, he was the reason that I tried to end my life. The time that it was so bad that I almost died, it was because of him, because we had plans. Bearing in mind as well, my mum hated him, obviously. This happened literally like a month or so before we split up. It was like just as New Year had happened of 2020. We had plans and he was coming here. And so I was like, okay. I was so excited because I was like, this is really going to cheer me up. I don't know why. He called me and he was like, hello, how are you? And I was like, yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. He used to call me a kid. He was like, hello kid, how are you? And I was like, oh my god, he's literally Adam from Girls. I was like, whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm not bad. And he was like, bad news, I can't come. The minute he said it, I was like, I can't, no. He was like, I tried to kill someone, I'm on house arrest. The girl that he was seeing was there with him. And I was like, okay. And when he called me, he was out of his house, like buying cigarettes and drink. And I was like, so you're going to get told off again by the police? Told off. And after he hung up, I just took, anyway, like basically I did what I thought was like the right thing to do. I tried to end my life. And I told my mum immediately, because I was like, fuck, because I took bipolar medication, which have a lot of sedatives in them. And I'd had some like stashed away. And my mum, who hated this guy, said to me, can't you go and see his name? And I was like, that's how you know it's bad, like, because that's how bad of a state I was in. And then that was when I had to go to hospital, and I passed out in the waiting room, and my heart rate was at like 250, and I woke up and I was in a wheelchair, and my teaching assistant from primary school was next to me, and I was speaking really loudly talking about how hot the doctor was. And then these like professionals were trying to speak to me about what happened, and she was like, oh, you tried to end your life because of your boyfriend. And like, my mum was like, she can't talk, like she's literally slurring her words. The next, like, I finally got discharged at like 2 a.m. after I thought I was gonna have a heart attack, because I think I almost did have a heart attack, which is like silly and fun, isn't it? Like, what the hell? I'm in a corridor. My mum tells me the next day on the way to Costa, she was like, this really weird man came and looked over you last night. She was like, did you remember that? And I was like, no. And she was like, I kept looking at you for reassurance. And I was there like mouth breathing, asleep. And he was like, is she okay? And my mum was like, no, she's not very well. And he was like, oh, it's mental, isn't it? And my mum was like, how the fuck do you know? Are you mental? And he was like, oh, you know, I know what it's like. But it was like, she was like, it was like he was two different people. Like, it was like as if each side of him was a different person. He was like really strange and like eerie. And my mum was like, oh, I was really scared. And he was like, she's going to be okay, and sort of like put his hand on me or something. And then out of the toilet, because the toilet was opposite where I was in the hallway, was his son, who had like this huge mark on his neck from where he tried to hang himself. Like, that is how bad we're talking. Like, so bad. I remember texting my boyfriend after, being like, please can you come and see me, I've tried to end my life. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, I've got to go to the gym. Like, my boy was built like a garden gnome. Like, talk about a beer belly. He was like, no, sorry, I've got to go to the gym. I said, okay. He was like, no, sorry, I've got uni work. I said, oh, is that in between you getting arrested? Like, actually shut the fuck up. Like, do me a favour. Like, shut up. And so that was how bad things were. And so obviously after that, I was like, let me take a little break from trying to end my life and let me get some therapy. I did therapy in lockdown. It was really helpful. I went to therapy a lot with my mum because we had a really hard time communicating, because as well, obviously when this ended, my horse died and I wanted to be there when he died. And I was asleep, and then my mum had the vet come out and put him to sleep, which I understand why she did it, because she was like, I didn't want you to see him like that. But obviously at the time I was like, I am fuming, I'm never going to forgive you. And although part of me still was like, oh, I wish you did like wake me up. Even the last time I saw him when he was just ill, before like that night before he was put to sleep in the middle of the night, it was awful. Like, it was heartbreaking to see him that way, because he was like my childhood pony. Like, I got him for my 11th birthday. Yes, not really beating the sorry girl allegations, but like it was like heartbreaking. It was just awful. And so like I was really grieving like the end of my college life, the end of this relationship, and my horse. So everything just felt fucked up. Everything felt just awful. Like, there was just like no end in sight for me, and I literally thought to myself, nothing will ever get better. And then it did. Which is like nice to think about now, because obviously now I feel like I'm in a different stage of my life, but I'm kind of still like grieving my last relationship, and it's really fucking hard. I'm going to be honest, it's really hard, and I'm really struggling with it at the moment. But speaking about all of these past things that's happened, like, it is good for me, and it is like cathartic, because it's like a reminder that I got through these things and I am okay, and I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm grateful. I've got great family, I've got great friends, but like I do struggle, and that's okay. I'm allowed to be Mr. Struggle every now and again. But 4 years on now, I can't imagine ever wanting to do that again, because I feel like I've seen the effect it had on people around me, but not just the people around me, on myself. I just felt so worthless. And obviously my last relationship wasn't fantastic. And please know, the day that I tell you all that I have someone or I'm with someone, know that I have waited so long. And I fucking hope to God that the next person I'm with actually likes me. His friends like me. He doesn't hate me. He doesn't resent who I am as a person. There's no swag gap. Just know I've waited so long for that. Okay? When is it going to be my turn? I would have waited, and it's going to be an organic meeting, because every man I meet on Hinge, woo, child, it is not good. But 4 years on, I feel like I'm in a place where I can just appreciate all these experiences and really try and grow from them. Sometimes I do revert back to my old ways, where like if someone is a dickhead, I'm like, oh, I want them so bad. But I try and remember that like rejection is protection, as Trisha Paytas said, and rejection is redirection. And everything that's meant for me shouldn't be confusing. It shouldn't be hard to navigate, and it shouldn't ghost me. You know what I mean? And so I just try and have like faith in that. And also like, because I'm doing so much of my own thing, making my vlogs, making my podcast, going to the gym, reading, seeing my friends, seeing my family, I feel like my cup is already so full, and like I need to focus on that. Like, it's like, you know, the whole glass half empty, glass half full. I focus so much on the bit that's empty that I'm not looking at how much is already full. And like, that is me as a person. I'm a tall glass of water. Wait, what is that? Aren't you just a tall glass of milk? What is that saying? Aren't you just a tall drink of water? You know what I mean. I'm tall. That's what I'm trying to say. So I feel like now, 4 years on, and it's funny because last year I was on holiday when it was like the anniversary of it. I don't even know, like my sober date. And this year when I booked this holiday, I just booked it for May because I was like, oh, it was a bit cheaper than going in like the proper summer. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to be there again. But this time I'm going to be alone. And it's like, I think that's kind of good for me to be alone. Maybe I'll do a bit of journaling and like really reflect on the last 4 years. It feels crazy that it's been that long, because 2022, literally every single time I think of 2022, I'm like, oh, it was yesterday. Oh, it was like last year. No, it was a long time ago. It was 4 years ago. But like, there was a time I couldn't even go like 4 days without doing that. So 4 years is such an achievement. And I hate to say it. No, I don't. Actually, I love to say it. I'm very proud of myself. It doesn't feel natural saying that out loud, but like, I feel like I've really transformed in my life and become this unapologetic version of myself. which might sound cringe, but like, I don't give a rat's ass, man. I used to stand in the mirror as a child, cry, and tell myself how ugly I was. So yes, if I call myself Leng every 2 seconds, God forbid, I've earned it. I've earned it because I have really put myself through the paces, and these men, and every single time there's been a bad man in my life or a relationship that's not been very good, it really does take a toll on my mental health. And I guess now, and the last 4 years, even though 3 of those years I was with someone that, like, the relationship didn't do wonders for my mental state, but especially now, okay, let's say in the last, like, so far this year, I've really been learning how to, like, protect my own brain and detach my worth and my self-image from what men think of me, which is, like, the whole decentering men thing. And, like, for example, okay, this is quite funny. At the moment, I've been having a lot of one day wonder relationships on Hinge, okay? And let me tell you what that is. A one day wonder is meeting someone on Hinge, you start speaking, and you think, this person is funny, this person seems nice, this person just seems like someone I could get along with. You naturally, like, move to WhatsApp. They ask you when you're free, you kind of plan a date. You're like, cool, I'm going to see you next week, whatever. You think, wow, you speak about, like, what you do, where you live, where you're from, where your family's from. Or, like, recently this guy, he like made a joke about me being perfect and wanting to marry me, and I was like, okay, I know this is probably love bombing, but it was kind of just like banter. So then naturally it just came up, like, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? And I'm thinking, wow, okay, maybe I'll actually go on a date with this guy, and I could, like, even if it's not a forever thing, it could just be like a casual thing. I could go on one date. It just adds to, like, the fucking CV, doesn't it? I was like, cool. You're speaking to him, you think, awesome. Wake up the next day, reply to his text, never hear from them again. All day Wednesday, texting, like, the moment I text, I got a reply. The moment that he replied to me, I replied to him. Like, that was how it was. I was in the gym just like, gone. Never to be heard from again. And if he does, and the thing is with me is, people think, oh, ghosting's not an hour, like, no, not an hour, like a day. That's not ghosting. To me, it's not even the fact that it's ghosting or not. It's just a respect thing. It's just simply a respect thing. You obviously don't respect me enough to reply to me because you're on your damn cellular device, okay? I'm not a fucking idiot. So you just don't want to answer. That's fine. But then don't message me in, like, a few weeks being like, hey, sorry, I've been so busy. No, you haven't. If you were so busy, you wouldn't have a Hinge profile. Like, this is what pisses me off. Oh, I'm so busy, sorry, I haven't had a chance to reply. So don't try and date. And then don't lie and be like, yeah, I'm looking for a relationship. No, you're not. What man on Hinge is actually looking for a relationship? I've been getting the craziest messages as well. Like, just, oh my God. And it's always, like, the people that like me on Hinge, I'm like, wow, I don't know whether to be offended or not. I just, like, today, okay, here's one. I wrote down one because I had to remember it. This guy liked me on Hinge, so I matched with him. He started speaking to me, asked me how I was, I asked him why he was up so early. He was like, I don't know, I just can't get back to sleep. I was like, me too. He went, I wish you could teleport here and cuddle. This gives me the same vibe as when men call me cute. I said, I'm menacing. I'm not cute. Thank you very much. I'm not like a fucking kitten. I'm 5'10" and built like a brick shithouse. I'm not fucking cute. He went, I wish you could teleport here and cuddle. And I was like, okay. Start speaking about spooning. Sometimes I play along with it to see how cringe they truly are, because it's just a laugh. Then he asks to speak on WhatsApp. Then 5 minutes later, he asks if I want to speak on WhatsApp. I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, sends me his phone number. Didn't reply again. 10 minutes later, I just get one word: shame. I thought, yeah, you're bringing great shame to your family name the way you're acting, you fucking freak. Shame? Shame? I thought, yeah, it is a shame because you're getting fucking unmatched now. And every time that Hinge is like, you might see this profile again. No, thank you. No, thank you. Shame. Who the fuck do you think you are? I just don't get it. I don't understand. These people just think that they're entitled to something from you, and, like, then you don't reply. Oh my God, like, you are literally hell and you are horror and you are the devil, like, incarnate. Is that the word? I don't know. But then when they don't reply, oh, I don't think anything of it. No. So honestly, this next week, my 5 days of rest and relaxation, I wish it was a bloody year. I am going to be reading like there's no tomorrow. My plan: wake up, sunbathe, read, have a little swim in the pool, don't let my hair go green, read, go to the beach, read, go and get ready for dinner, go and have a nice dinner, come back, read, watch Hacks in between that because I've started that, absolutely loving it. Fuck me, that is a great show. And there's a man out where I'm going. Basically, I used to go to this holiday destination. Oh my god, that just reminds me of Molly May. I'm trying to make it Trudy Night. With a little bit of luck, we can make it Trudy Night. Who the fuck is Trudy Night? Anyway, so there's this guy back out there. We used to go every year as a family growing up, and I've known this man since I was 3. This man has actively been trying to groom me for a couple of years. He's been actively trying to groom me. And I just can't be arsed with it. Like, sending me voice notes, come and see your uncle. I said, what, the one that fondles you at a party? I said, no. And the thing is with me, I'm such a good liar. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm with my parents. They're just at a different restaurant. Can't stay for long, can't chat. Because I don't want to be groomed. Like, I've been groomed at a job before. I had a nonce dance teacher who used to say I was really good at everything I did. I'm not in the market for being groomed again. You know, I'm not a pet. And I don't want to be petted, thank you. I want to go out there, maybe spend a little bit of money on something overpriced, and then come home. And I want to know that I can do everything solo, you know, and I can go out and I have a meal for one and not feel great shame. That's a shame. It will be a shame when I knock you fucking out. Anyway, so yeah, mission is have a good time, read a lot of books, don't get groomed. I think that's the mission for my whole life, actually. So yeah, with a little bit of luck, we will make it through the holiday, and I'm sure there will be a great debrief next week. And my therapist said, like, don't get locked up in a cage. I said, girl, why would you even put that fucking idea in my head? But you know what? My therapist, oh God, I absolutely love her. And she said to me, you know, if you need anything, just call. I said, thank you, because you might have to be on an EasyJet flight to come and get me. You might have to. All expenses paid, of course. God, that would be awesome. This is what this guy was saying. Oh, I'll pay for you to come out here. I said, no, you have a child my age. Let's focus on that, hey? Hot stuff. Let's focus on that. It is crazy because I had such a crush on him as a teenager. So if this was happening to me as a teenager, I'd be like, yes! Oh my God, my life is a Wattpad. Whereas now I'm like, you've just heard that episode. I do not need any more trauma. I think I'm funny and leng enough as it is. And if I'm getting funnier, it's from like good things happening. Please, God, hear my wishes. Anyway, I think that's all. Happy 4-year soberversary to me. I'm goated, I'm up, and all my exes can suck my dick. Bye!